Mercedes?
I'm blushing.
She's blushing because, well, just to match those lovely ranunculus.
Yeah, and if you look clearly into the centre, we've got the black dots to match my cardigan. So I'm wearing a pink cardigan like the colour of the ranunculus.
Black dots in
the
them.
black dots,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
So I thought I'd become a friend.
In case people aren't aware what ranunculus are, they do look a bit like roses. They are fully petalled, you get double and singles. They sometimes are called buttercups.
Yes.
Buttercups.
Yeah, well, it's often referred to as the rose of the spring, and it does have a few nicknames. So we're looking at buttercup, Persian buttercup, Persian crow's foot, and coyote's eyes. So it has a few names up its sleeves. Mr Ranunculus.
Yeah, I guess that coyote's eyes is after an American legend, but they're actually native to the Middle East, but they've naturalised in the United States.
They have. They've become quite adaptable, the darling blossoms. Now, the reason why I call it Mr Ranunculus, and it is a cross-dresser, my darling blossoms, the reason why it is a cross-dresser is because it starts off as a seed and it thickens into a rhizome.
Yeah.
So with men, as we all know, my darling blossoms, you've got to slip on the heels. So it's the flush cut down the bottom. Do not cut it on an angle because that's female wearing high heels.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for those people who are not aware of the fact that they'd be called rhizomes, most people would think that they were corms or bulbs, because that's how they're sold online, corms or bulbs. But botanically speaking, that's all changed only recently, as botanists are wanting to do. So now it's called a thickened rhizome. So yeah,
we all love a bit of change in the garden, don't we?
Yeah, just to confuse the gardeners who've been gardening for. I've been sowing ranunculus and I've always called it, a corm.
But it's good that you've brought it up for the listeners. Now, we're definitely in the most favourite season of the year. It's spring, and they do start blooming at the moment. And we've got a few seasons ahead where we can enjoy these darling blossoms, summer and leading into autumn. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't represent an anniversary month, a zodiac. It's not named after a saint. I don't know why. I mean, how gorgeous is this cut flower? Yeah. And it's 400 species to my knowledge, but it's not dog. Is it friendly if you've got cats and dogs and horses? It's not, apparently. It's
not friendly to them? Oh,
no. So if you've got livestock and they eat into it, they become sick because it's got this bitter taste to it. So you need to supervise your animals if you've got Mr Ranunculus in your vase.
Okay. I forgot to mention that the name ranunculus is a combination of two Latin words, rana, meaning frog, and unculus, meaning little. So
little frog.
Yeah, apparently because it grows naturally in very moist, wet areas where frogs abound. Wow.
Well, you'd think that in France they'd be, jumping on this cut flower because, we know the French love their little frogs, don't they, my darling blossoms. Have you had some frog?
Frog legs? No.
I have. They're not bad, actually.
Okay.
A bit chicken tasting.
Okay.
Now, the vase life can last in between 7 days and some 10. So depending on the temperature that you've got at home, it can last up to that long. Now, it comes from a very good looking family, and I want to share with the listeners who are the family members. Anemone is one of them, and
Clematis,
Helleborus.
Oh,
you don't want to disappoint Mr Ranunculus because he'll then go tell his cousins and dob you in on them, and they don't want to be your friend. So be kind, my darling blossoms.
Oh, and Nigella as well.
Yes.
So that's
indeed.
the Ranunculaceae family.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Now, it comes in many colours, and I only found out in the last few years that it comes in bicolours.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can get white, and then it's got freckles of burgundy on it. It's just superb. Like, you just want to eat it with your eyes. It doesn't have a fragrance, unfortunately, and skin irritations? Unfortunately, yes.
But most people who handle the flowers, do they need to wear gloves, or is it okay?
If it's skin, if you're going to get a skin rash from it, and we're talking about it, and we're advising the listeners that yes, it falls into that category. Yes, I would definitely glove up. Now, if you are wanting to buy this beautiful blooming cut flower, the things to look out for if you want to buy it, you know, just don't be scared. Just touch their heads, and if it's firm, buy it. If it feels a little bit limp or, you know, soft, I'll steer clear away from it. And another sign to avoid is yellow leaves. So I don't have any yellow leaves here, and as you can see, predominantly from the navel down, it's hair free, so no hairy legs in the vase. And as I said earlier, slip on the sneakers because it is a male.
For those who aren't looking at the Facebook post right now, because we're going Facebook Live, what we mean about hairy leaves is halfway down, the stems are completely bare, all the leaves have been taken off.
Now, we all love the tips, and this is a cut flower if you are pouring burped water into your vase. And what do we mean by that? Water that's been standing for a minimum of 4 hours, or if better still, you could pour water straight into your vase if it's filtered. Now, this cut flower, Mr Ranunculus, loves icy cold water. So get your ice out of your freezer and sprinkle some into your vase, like Mr Anatomy, because they're related. This is another cut flower that loves a drink when it's icy cold.
Wow, and
yes.
Is it a good idea to put some ice cubes in there daily?
Very good question. Yeah, no. As soon as you drop it in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's from the beginning. Okay.
From the beginning, yeah, because flowers can hold their breath out of water for 15 minutes. So if it's after 15 minutes, it's certainly in coma.
Oh.
And this is the, you know, few cut flowers that you can get away with putting some ice cubes in the vase.
Okay.
Predominantly cut flowers, no, but a handful, yes.
Wow. That's. I was about to ask whether hot water, warm water, what, you know, there's some flowers maybe that like tepid water, perhaps.
Well, warm water travels faster up the stem, so
it's a bit unusual then.
Yeah, it hits the head and it wakes it up. So if you want that, you know, instant effect, warm water is the fastest on its feet.
And now I've got a Persian legend about, apparently according to a Persian legend, a young Persian prince who always wore green and gold fell in love with a beautiful nymph and sang to her night and day. Now, according to one version, the nymphs became so tired of listening to the young prince, they turned him into a ranunculus flower. There is another version, and that was that he died of heartbreak when his love was not returned, and up sprang a ranunculus flower in his place.
Oh, God love him.
Yeah.
Oh, he needs a hug. He needs a hug. Now, before I get into the message, which is my favourite part of the Talking Flowers, let's talk about the medicinal effect. And historically, Native Americans used the dry plant of Mr Ranunculus to treat sore joints and boils, eczema, muscle pain, and remove warts.
Wow, the dried petals?
Yeah, the dried petals of it. So who would have believed that this gorgeous cut flower can take off ugly looking warts?
Yeah.
So you've got the beauty and the beast, you know.
That probably explains, there must be something in the petals, explains why it's not safe for cats and dogs. So, because, you know, some pussycats might like to chew on the flower, or even a dog might like to bite into it, and possibly...
You need to supervise. I mean, we are not here to scare our listeners.
Oh, no.
You know, I mean, cut flowers are wonderful. You know, you eat with your eyes. They bring you joy. They bring you happiness. And that's what the world's lacking at the moment. And that's what this segment's all about. Talking flowers, to share the floral magic that needs to come into our lives to feed our spirit. So, something to think about, my darling blossoms. And I think that's me. Someone's trying to call me.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I won't answer because I'm on air.
Golly.
Now, to wrap it up, my darling blossoms, we all love the message that this blooming cut flower comes with. So the message is, if you're lacking charm and you're feeling down about your appearance, Mr Ranunculus is here to rescue you. I am here to transform you into the Cinderella you have dreamt to be for that special event. And I promise, hand on heart, to hold your hand and have your back until your vase life runs out. So
Wow.
we've got 10 days where Mr Ranunculus is going to hold your hand, and you're going to be Cinderella for 10 days.
Wow, that's a good tip. And I just thought I'd like to mention that if people who like to grow them, they prefer to have their roots kept cool and moist. So just in case your ranunculus rhizomes never eventuated into flowers, because this is now, they would be blooming in your garden if you planted them last autumn. That's probably why.
It's a great tip. Yeah. And pardon the pun, I'll be sharing that with my partner. If you want me to bloom, that's what you'll have to do to my root system. Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, once again, Mercedes from Floral Gossip, and soon to have a book come out.
Yeah, Blooming Personalities. So hopefully early 2020 it'll be coming out. And if you want to learn more about Floral Gossip, we do have a website now. It's floralgossip.com.au, and visit us on Facebook, Floral Gossip.
Once again, Mercedes, thanks for coming and talking to me on Real World Gardener.
Always a pleasure.